Hey guys, what's up? On this beautiful 17th day of May in the year of 2019, I'm officially 1 year post-op surgery. So exactly 1 year ago, I was sedated in a hotel room in Dallas, Texas because I got my boobs removed, basically. So a year ago, I had top surgery, and that is so incredibly insane for me to say right now. I'm unbelievably happy. Throughout this entire year, ever since I got surgery, I don't even remember what it was like to have boobs. This video is going to be all about my top surgery story. So in 2017, I came out and I knew for sure that top surgery was one of the things I just had to have because I just could not stand looking at my chest. I couldn't look in the mirror. I couldn't wake up in the morning without looking down and just hating myself. And ever since, they started growing, in puberty, I hated it. I didn't want it. I fought it so hard. It was the worst. It was one of the things I hated the most about my body. Fast forward 2017, I had an unfortunate car accident, but that gave me the money to have top surgery. So fortunate, unfortunate, who knows, but I'm gonna look at the bright side and say fortunate because I had money to pay for my surgery. The day before, on May 16th, I had my pre-op appointment, but before that, I was emailing with the doctor and their staff for a good 2 or 3 months, back and forth. They asked for pictures. It was really weird. You had to show your stuff, and then even the day before, they took pictures of my chest, and I hated it so much. I just wanted to cry, and they were like, but we need it for medical documentation, and I was like, fine, whatever, do it, just hurry up. So next day, May 17th, I wake up really early, 6 a.m. They make you take a bath with this special soap, and I'm just really nervous, and I just hate getting poked with needles, which is really weird because I inject myself every week, but I hate IVs. I hate them. So I get changed into my gown or whatever, and literally the first nurse, 1 out of 5, actually 6 nurses. I get poked 6 times. So first nurse comes in after I'm waiting in my gown. They're like, oh, okay, hey, sir, we're gonna put your IV in now. And I'm lit. So they first inject you with this numbing thing so you don't feel the big needle going in. So that hurts more than the actual needle. And then they're like, wait a minute, this isn't working. We're gonna take it out. So she's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get another thing so we can try again. Another nurse comes in, totally different person. She's like, hey, I'm here to do your IV. So I'm like, cool, they tried here, I don't know, try somewhere else. And then they try somewhere over here. And then same thing, inject with some fiery numbness thing, and then put the big needle in, and then they're like, we still can't get a flow. And I'm like, either, something's going on here or I'm dead. I don't know, one of the two. So they take it out. She's like, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get another set so we can do this again. Third nurse comes in, and she's like, hi, I'm gonna be doing your IV. And I'm like, this is great, cool. Let's try this arm because 2 times out of, 3, I guess third time's a charm, let's try this arm. So, try this arm, nothing. So she's like, takes it out and she's like, you know what? Why don't you try warming up your arm? So I'm sitting there covering my arm with this blanket. You can see in this picture here, my arm just covered in this blanket, and I'm just like, this is the part I hate the most, and it's taken so far 3 times, going on a 4th. At this point, I've already been poked 5 times, and I couldn't take it. So then she's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna come back. And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna come back with a new set, different nurse is just gonna come in. So I was right. 6th nurse got it. So 6th nurse gets it on my hand. She's like, I was just like, you know what, at this point, don't put the numbing shit, that hurts really bad. Just poke me, just 1 and done. She's like, are you sure? And I was like, yes. So the actual poke was hurt way less than the numbing. So I was just like, fuck it, and she actually got it. It was great. So she was like, you might get a little cold, and then I was like, yeah, right. And then 2 minutes later, I got cold because the fluid's running through or whatever. So I was like, oh, okay, great, feeling it. So then I'm just sitting there then for about an hour with my wife, and then finally the anesthesia people come in, and they're like, oh, we brought your margarita. And I was like, yeah, give me that good shit. Oh, that was the best time of my life. I just start laughing, and they're asking me all these questions, and I'm answering them, I think correctly, I'm not sure, but they're like, yeah, okay, it's time to go back. And I'm like, cool. So I'm talking to them about science and shit. like the whole entire like roll to the operating room. I'm like, yeah, I'm a scientist. Like, you know, I think you guys are scientists too because you're in the medical field. So, you know, we're all scientists here, and they're just laughing at me, and I'm just laughing with them, and they're asking me questions. They're like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I go to school. I'm a chemist at UT. And they're like, oh, really? And they're like, tell me more. And in my head, this is what I'm saying, but what's actually coming out of my mouth, who in the world knows? Because I was heavily drugged at that point. So then I distinctly remember getting into the operating room and seeing the black table that I'm supposed to be on, and like all of the equipment around it, and just being scared. But then they say, hey, you're up and energized. Can you get on this table? And I was like, that big scary black one right there. They're like, yeah, that one. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Help me out. So I crawl onto this table and I lay down, and they strap me in, and so I'm laying there like this, and the anesthesiologist comes around again, puts his mask on my face, and I'm like just talking away about God knows what at this point. And I'm like, what's this for? And he's like, it's just oxygen. And I literally tell him, oxygen, right? And he's like, yeah, and he just starts laughing. And I'm like, how long until I fall asleep? He's like, tell me more about what you do. So I started talking about my research, and I just distinctly remember saying hypoxic cancer cells, and that was it. I was out. And the next thing I knew, like, my legs are being squeezed, and I'm in like the recovery room or something by this like little machine, and like they put this little thing for like circulation or whatever. So my legs are being squeezed, and I'm like, holy shit, it's over. Did it happen? And I just remember feeling my chest, like, it didn't hurt, it just felt weird. It just felt tight because there was like ace bandage, and then like this like binder thing, and then like more bandage. So I was like, oh shit, it's over. And then I was like, yeah, it's over. And I was like, holy fuck, it's over. And then I knocked out. And then again, the thing woke me up because it was squeezing my legs. And then like there's two nurses in there now, and they're talking, and they're like, oh, he's awake. And I was like, oh shit. And then they were like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, yeah. And then I was trying to ask them if I said anything dumb. I was like, did I say anything dumb? And they were just like, what? And then I just fell asleep again. And then they woke me up for the third time, and they were like, hey, you need to put your clothes on because you're naked and you gotta go home now. And I was just like, no, don't help me, I can do it myself. And I could not do it myself. They basically dressed me, and I was so embarrassed. Thinking about it, I'm actually pretty embarrassed right now because they actually dressed me. Yeah. They put me in a wheelchair and fall asleep again. Just for the record, I can honestly fall asleep anywhere. So maybe that like also contributed to me being sleepy. I don't know if it was only, I can't say 100%, it was like just the anesthesia, because I can just knock out anywhere. Anyways, so next thing I know, I'm getting shoved into a car, and it's obviously like, you know, my wife's car. So I'm getting shoved into this car, and then I knock out again. And then my wife says that we went to Walmart, and I don't remember that. And then she said that we also went to Target. No recollection of that either. But the next thing I know, we're outside of the hotel, and I'm trying to walk, but obviously like falling asleep while like standing up. So the hotel manager is like, hey, we have a wheelchair, you can borrow this. So then like apparently they did, and the next thing I knew, I was just like in bed. My next memory is just me laying in bed and like knocking out. I was just sedated the rest of the day. But in the evening, I woke up like around 5 or 6 and was answering some text messages and sending text messages. I should not have been answering or texting anybody. I sent a lot of really inappropriate things to people, but I was texting people for a little bit that I woke up, and I remember my wife said that I had to walk around, so they put me in a wheelchair to take me to the hallway, and I remember one of the happiest moments of my life, because in the wheelchair on the way out to the door, there's this huge mirror, and I remember looking into the mirror and just being so happy, and I was like, love, look, my chest is flat. I just remember looking and like pointing and laughing, and just, I couldn't believe it, and it was just amazing. And the next day I had my post-op appointment, which I was high as fuck this entire time. They took off the bandages and the binder just to see the site, and it looked great according to them, and they sent me home with like post-care stuff, and that was it for that. Post-care was a little hard. I was so terrified of taking a shower. I was just like, holy fuck, because for the whole first week I couldn't take a shower, and I just smelled like shit, and you know, I gave myself like a bath with like baby wipes, and I would like shower from like here down and like wash my hair in the sink, but like this whole armpit area just not having it. I remember being terrified of taking a shower for the first time, thinking that it was gonna hurt. It didn't hurt at all. I was just so scared, and I was also like terrified that my nipples were just gonna like slide off, because they look really fucking gross. Like, nobody talks about this, but your nipples are like black until they start to peel off and like regenerate or whatever. But like, I just remember thinking like, holy fuck, that's not the color my nipples were before. And like, it was just really scary, because they're just black, and my nipples were not black before. Like, it was just weird and scary. So apparently my body doesn't like this certain stitch. It's hard for it to break down, I guess, because I had the same material of stitch here, and this, I'll tell you why this is important in a bit. But this stitch, I actually had to pull it out because it was already like time for it to fall out, but I ended up having to pull it out myself. And actually, it kind of came out on accident when I was in the shower. I like rubbed it too hard and it just fell out, and it hurt really bad. Anyways, so that material of stitch that they used to close this area, they threw one on this nipple for what reason, I don't know. But like, going back to this stitch really quickly, for frame of reference, that one was there for about 3 months, and that shouldn't have been there for 3 months. It should have only been there for like 3 weeks max. So that kind of stitch was thrown on this nipple for some reason, and I don't know why. But it ended up, and it was in the center of the nipple too, so it just really sucked. It ended up kind of not getting infected, but my body couldn't break it down to the point where it started eating away at the actual nipple and the things around it. So like the center of my nipple, like the little pointy part, is gone because of that. And I was just really down and really sad about it for a long time. Occasionally I get a little sad about it, but I think that it could definitely be way worse, because I thought, you know, holy shit, this middle part of my nipple is missing, and like, what am I gonna do now? But I was fortunate in that it doesn't look bad from far away. Like, unless you like get really, really close to my chest and stare at my nipples, like, you can tell that this one's a little weird. And also, I've seen a lot, like, I really kind of want to share this because on YouTube and like Instagram and stuff, like, you see a lot of people where like their nipples are like kind of perfect and like circular, and like they healed, that's the way their body healed, but mine didn't in that way. Like, when I first saw my chest and my nipples, they were like circular and stuff like that, but as my body continued to heal, like the shape changed, and they're not like perfect circles anymore. They're more like ovals, I guess, now. This one totally healed like a bro. It's, you know, it looks like a nipple correctly, I guess, like in my head. So it's not as pointy, but it's a nipple. So yeah, this is the moment that I'm pretty sure everybody's been waiting for, because that's what they click on these videos for. And yeah, so I'm gonna show you all my chest. This is 1 year post-op surgery, and you can still see my scars. So I didn't really choose to do scar care. Like, I did the strips that they told me to do, but then I ran out of them and I didn't buy any more. And then I was also kind of just really depressed about this nipple. So you can see it here. I don't know if the camera can get it, but it doesn't really have like a center part, and from far away it looks fine. It passed the kid test. You know, kids are assholes and they tell you what's wrong with you. But my nephew's an asshole, and he didn't tell me anything is wrong with me, so I think I'm good. And then here's this one. Looks nice and good. These are my scars. I was actually really happy with how my scars came out. They weren't like straight or like square. They like, I feel like they go perfectly with like where my muscle lands. But yeah, this is my chest post-op surgery, 1 year, exactly to the date. And I never thought I'd get here. And this is just a really happy moment for me, actually. Thought about it all day. Happy birthday to my chest, 1 year with designer nipples, I guess you could say. I recently started using the scar cream. They used to be way thicker and like kind of a purple color, but this scar cream that I've been using has been really good. It kind of has thinned out my scars and like kind of started making them lighter. The only downside of that scar cream is that it's it's really makes my skin really itchy. So like I'll be really itchy. There's like everywhere around where I put it. In terms of like sensation and stuff like that, like fresh out of surgery, like I couldn't feel anything. Nothing from here, because they also did liposuction like right here to get rid of like dog ears, I think is what they're called. So yeah, but yeah, I can totally feel, I have full sensation here. It's just when I get to the scar line that like it's kind of iffy. So like the actual scar line is completely numb, but like right above it, I have some feeling in certain areas, and certain areas still don't have complete feeling yet, but that's totally fine. And I 100% cannot feel my nipples. Totally cool though. So yeah, that was my chest. This was my 1 year post-op surgery, and almost 6 months on testosterone. Tomorrow will be that day, but today is all about my designer nipples and stuff. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, like it. But I'll see you next time. Thanks guys.